Before we get started, I want to be completely honest with you. When Bambu Lab first announced that they were putting a laser engraver inside of the H2D, I was very skeptical. As somebody who spends a lot of time around both 3D printers and laser engravers, I really wasn't convinced that two machines belonged in the same machine. My biggest concern was contamination. Lasers create soot, smoke, and debris, while 3D printers rely on precision components, belts, rails, and electronics. On paper, it felt like two very different tools being forced together. So when Bambu Lab reached out and offered to send me the H2D Laser Edition, I was genuinely interested. Not because I was expecting to love it, but because I wanted to find out whether my initial concerns were justified or whether Bambu Lab had actually managed to solve a problem that I didn't think could be solved. In this video, I'm going to take you through the entire process. We'll look at what's included with the Laser Edition, how to install it, how the software works, the safety features, and most importantly, we'll be putting it through a series of real-world engraving and cutting tests on wood, slate, leather, and metal. I'll also be sharing the settings I use throughout the video, so if you already own a H2D Laser Edition, you can follow along and use them as a starting point for your own projects. So let's get it set up and find out whether a laser really belongs inside a 3D printer. If you're wondering what comes with the Laser Edition, I'm going to go through everything right here. So here is an overview of all the accessories. As you can see, there are actually a lot of them. So first of all, we have a strong grip mat along with the cutting module and various little accessories like pens and stuff, which allow you to basically get started straight away with that. Then we're going to move on to the actual Bambu laser platform as well as our cutting bars. And we will go into detail of those in a bit. Then we have our air assist hose tube and an actual coupler and a Jubilee clip to tighten down the extraction. Then we have our glorious looking 40 watt module. I mean, I have to say that is very nice looking. So we've got our 40 watt module. We also get an emergency stop button. We get our extraction hose coupler, which we attach to the back of the machine. We'll go into that in a bit. There is a lens as well. And then finally, we have our extraction hose. Now, in terms of the H2D itself, as we've gone through a previous video, all the specs. So if you want to see that, check that out on the channel. But in terms of lasering, it comes with specific green laser safe windows on the side, you can see, and these are actually specifically designed to stop those light waves of certain wavelengths getting out and hurting your eyes, ensuring this is a safe thing to use without glasses once it's closed. Additionally to that, there is also the Bambu smoke extractor, air purifier, whatever you want to call it, that is also included. So you can see we have got that. I think I had to mention that is an additional extra though. If you're buying the Laser Edition, this stuff here is what you're going to get, not that. That is an additional, but we will be testing that today as well. So there you go. We have our full setup of items. We're going to move over to the installation now on the H2D. We need access to the rear of the machine and we want to make sure the power is off first if you've already had this powered on in the past. We're going to be installing this onto this first, and for that you're going to need the screws that are contained within the bag that has the coupler and the air assist hose. Also, you'll need a Allen key, and this is the one that comes in the toolkit with the H2D, so you can use that. And we're just going to literally offer that screw through the top corner, put our Allen key in place and get that first one screwed in place. First, what I will say is it does matter the orientation. If you put it that way, you'll see the screw holes do not line up. So you need to line them up in this orientation here. Once on, you want there to be no movement because this is going to be pulling fumes out, so we need a nice airtight seal around the edges. Then we are going to take our extraction hose. We are going to also take our Jubilee clip, fit it over the end like that, and just fit it over the end of the coupler there. It's a tight fit, but that is obviously exactly what we want. And then once you've got some good surface area covered, take your Jubilee clip, move it over that bit and then start turning this key clockwise, and you'll see it will tighten around the flat surface of our extraction bracket until we have got a nice tight grip around it and that hose can't go anywhere. So we're almost there. And when you're done, you shouldn't be able to pull it off and you are good to go. We have our extraction set up. I want to show you this instruction from the manual. It says to remove the air pump fixing screw. So I have already removed mine, but it would be in this position here. So I wanted to make you aware just so that you don't forget to do that, because I'm not going to show that part in this step. So you'll notice I have a emergency safety key in there. However, the laser actually comes with an emergency stop button, and you'll see there is a safety key in that one already. So that there is the same connector as that one there. So we are going to, if you've already got this in, remove it out, and then we are going to take our one here and we're going to line up the keyed part, which the 2 pins are at the bottom, and then we are going to plug it straight in like so. And we have our button plugged in, and we'll be putting that into its correct position in a second. At this point, we no longer need access to the rear of the machine, so I am now going to rotate it around and we can do the next steps. Now that we've got the machine turned around, you will see there is a little label on the side of the machine there, and also on our stop button there is a little cutout. So we're going to lift the machine and put that cutout underneath it. And there you have it. It is in position, good to go, and we can activate it for now or take it off by twisting it clockwise and pulling it outwards. Now we have our Bambu laser platform, and I showed you these earlier. These are the cutting blades, and they basically allow us to cut materials by elevating it off the ground. So what we need to do, you'll see there are a number of grooves down the side here and here. So we have basically the choice to put those in there like that, or the other way around, depends on your material. And then you can lay something on top, cut through, and the laser beam power will disperse before it hits the plate. It comes with 6 of the slats, so we need to evenly distribute them along here with the points facing upwards. Totally up to you how you do it. I guess it depends on the side of the material, but the one thing you want to make sure is that it is in the right slot either side, so it is straight across. I'm just gonna roughly do this now on camera, so there's a chance it might not be as evenly distributed as I'd like it. I'm going to leave 3 gaps between each one, which should be adequate. And there you go. We now have our cutting plate installed and ready to go. And as you can see, it's fairly evenly spaced. We could basically take most pieces of material and lay them across this comfortably. The next thing we're going to be doing is installing that cutting plate and the laser module. And what I want to say is you need these in the right position to make it easier. So the way I go about doing it is by clicking, and you can see me in the camera there, clicking those dots there, and then over here, if I can get it, click motion, home the axis first. And what it will do is it will bring the bed up, it will bring the actual, it will bring the print head centrally, it will home itself, and then we can make manual adjustments to bring it into a position that is good for us. Now that it's finished homing, we are going to go into this same area and we're going to hit that down 10 button. So it's going to move it 10 millimeters at a time. You'll see there as I press it, and I am pressing it. I'll try and move the camera out so you can see. So just bring it down low enough to fit it in there and make it easy for you to actually do. And I also recommend bringing this a little bit forward, but not too much, because our laser has a bit of thickness. And if you want to do that, you want to click on the Y minus, and you'll see it moves. If I come from that angle, it moves a little bit closer each time. So just get it in a position that makes it easy for you so you can do a good job. As I said, we are going to be installing the Bambu laser platform. I just wanted to give you a closer look at it first before I put it in. It is basically a sheet metal tray with those slats installed and with a nice bit of labeling at the top, also a code at the back, and we are now going to place that inside. One thing I already did was remove my build plate, but if you haven't removed your build plate, you need to remove it now. The orientation, you want the Bambu Lab logo towards the rear of the machine. It is magnetic, as you can probably feel there. We're going to slide it to the back, just like you would with your normal build plate. Allow it to locate itself. And then once we are in place, if I show you, in those corners, it is located up against the plastic tabs. And you'll see we are central on that, which means this is now successfully installed. Now we're about to install our laser module. But first, I just wanted to take a good look at it whilst we have it out, because it is a really, really nicely designed, solid laser. So we have as I said, the 40-watt module. You can get this in a 20-watt module. There's a quick release clasp there. There is a connector there you can see, and this I believe is for our air assist, which we'll be installing in a minute. Then looking at the bottom of it, you have your actual laser head there, and there is an optical within that to help it position itself. And yeah, as it says on the side, this is a class 4 laser, and it's a really nicely designed, really well premium thing, and there is actually a cover on it. Let's remove that right now. So we've got that ready to go. We're going to install it in right now. We're going to remove the front cover, grab it by the 2 top corners and pull it off like so. That will give us access to these runners right here, which are going to be used to attach the laser. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the glass lid so I get an easier access onto the laser. I don't want to be touching the glass with any hard objects. So we're going to take our module now. And like I said, the runners here are going to line up with the runners on that. Ensuring this lever is up in a controlled manner, we are going to slowly lower it down over it, and once it's in place, it will physically hold itself. And then we are going to push this down, and at that point, it's secure and locked in place. On our laser, we have this connector here, which is a 4-pin connector. And then if you look towards the rear of the actual print head, there is a flap which is retained by a small little bit of rubber. We'll take that off and we will plug that in, ensuring the 2 larger pins are facing towards the back of the machine. There we go. And the next step from our bag again is to take the air assist hose, and you'll see on here there is a coupler which we can rotate. We're going to plug one side in to that, and once that's in, it says you should not be able to accidentally pull it out, and I cannot in this case. Then we are going to naturally route it around, and in between our 2 PTFE tubes at the back here, there is another coupler just there where my finger is, and just try and follow the natural flow of this cable chain and just put it in there the same way we've done, all the way in, and then give it a gentle pull to make sure it cannot come out. And then once we are in, there are these little clips at the top of our cable chain kind of bracket that holds the Belden tubes in place, that holds the PTFE tubes in place. We are literally just going to, and what I'll probably do in this case is pull it around so it comes around it. We're going to lower it in place, push it in, it just slots in there, and then we're going to adjust it so it follows the route of this. So just to give you an idea of the finished installed module, you can see it following the contour around there. That's the coupler I was telling you about just here that it's plugged into. The laser module itself is locked in place, and now we are good to go. If you're happy, power your machine on. If this is activated and pressed down, it will not power on. If it doesn't power on at first, check that, and also make sure that's plugged in, the little token that goes into it. And then in my case, I have been presented with a laser terms and conditions screen. Have a read through it if you feel the need to. I am just going to click agree. I haven't actually read it, but I use lasers a lot, so I'm going to assume I know what it's about to say. And now it's going to give us an initial setup, which we're going to run through. One other point I will say with mine, I have 2 warning messages. One says the printer module is incompatible with the printer's firmware, and it's also telling me to set up the update and it's also telling me to run through the complete setup. So obviously when you first plug this in, you may need to update your printer as well. In terms of the extraction, we have a hose on the top, which is where we're going to be putting our hose from our 3D printer, and then you've got an outlet hose here which you can have routed somewhere else. So all we need to do is take this, attach it to this. There is also a standard plug and switch on the back, you can see there, and that's it. Pretty simple, that one. And there you have it. Everything is now connected. We have our clips on there. Both units are ready to go. So as you can see, it's updating the firmware now that the laser module is installed, and it's running through a number of checks as part of that. And as you can see, we're now ready to move on to the next set. Now that we've updated, we're going to hit go to setup, and it's going to now give us some instructions. We will follow those. Now we've already screwed in the fix for the air pump, and we've put the exhaust system, so we can hit next. Now it's going to say fasten the quick release lever, install air assist tube. We have also done that. Place the laser platform, place the laser test material, and then ensure the material is centered. So we're going to place that material test paper. The paper it is referring to is this piece, and it does come with the laser, and it's basically saying to put it as central as you can, so central on this axis, but as close to this bit here as possible. So we will do that right now. Now that we've done that, we will hit the next button, and it's saying close the door, close the top cover, which we will do. So I'll be putting the top cover back on. just like that, closing the door. We've closed the door, closed the top cover. So as I said in the video, this is green tinted. It will stop the wavelength of the laser getting out and hurting our eyes. If you do ever open it when it's in use or any other laser, make sure you wear a correct pair of laser safety glasses, which need to meet the wavelength of the type of laser. We've got a diode laser in that case, so this will be okay. Now that we've clicked the next button, it's saying press and hold the button right there for 1 second for it to begin the calibration. What it will do is it will home the tool head, auto check the quick release lever, auto check the platform, and then finally it's going to move on to the laser calibration part right now. And we have our piece of paper ready to go. You can see the head is moving up towards the laser. And now it should start calibrating itself. And as you can see, it's now calibrating its own laser power by performing a number of actions. So we'll let it do this and we'll see what the end result is. You can see it's finished. It says it's finished in making. Let me just show you what the actual calibration card looks like. And there you go. It's just done a number of lines and I'm guessing it's used its camera to assess the gap and all that. And now it has configured itself so we can get using it. Let's go. So once we have our laser set up, which we do, we now need to get the software to use this. And as you all know, the 3D printer uses something called Bambu Studio, but for the laser and the cutter, we need Bambu Suite. So I'm gonna download the Windows version and we are gonna install it. Once installed, you can log into your Bambu account and then it will give you a calibration box, which I'm going to click confirm. I have already calibrated, so we're all good. But as you can see on here, it's very similar to Bambu Studio, but it has its own interface, which we'll get into now. So what you can do when you first get it is there are some tests that you can run. There are some test projects that you can run. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to just go straight in with something else. We're going to get into the good stuff. Now, in terms of the actual printer, you can select, if you've got multiple printers here, you can select it here, and then it will automatically recognize that the 40 watt or the 20 watt, if you've got that, are connected. You can view your printer and you can actually even go in and see the camera live, which is really cool. And it's a really nice quality, high definition one. So it will also give you ticks on the left to tell you that the emergency stop button's installed and the safety key is installed. That's really good for safety. And in general, it will give you all of the maintenance procedures as well if you want that. So it's really good that that's kept all locally on the software. So I'm going to be engraving onto a 3mm basswood plywood first. So I'm just going to place it on the bed so it sits on those slats that we've put in earlier. Now, when you're placing it, just drop it on top. One thing I really like about this is there is a platform at the end there. We can butt our material up against it, which means it is nice and square. Go back into the software now and we will prepare the engraving. So now we have our material loaded in there. What we're going to do is we're going to prepare our material. So we're going to click the prepare button down here and you'll see a number of options. The first thing we want to do is select the mode, and we are going to be doing plain machining in this case. Then the material. So you can select from their multiple library here, and obviously they sell their own materials, so I'm sure they're linked up. I have a 3mm birch plywood, so I will be selecting that. Then what we're going to do is we are going to ask it to take a picture. So we're going to go up to the top here and there is a capture, and if we click on it, it will give us this window here, and it's going to say to prevent tool head collision, ensure the laser module is positioned above the highest point. So we're okay in this case. I'm going to click I know. Now what will happen is the laser will move over to the material. It's going to capture a image, and as you can see, our image is now in place, which is great. One of the things I like about the actual laser bed that Bambu Lab have given us is there is a ruler on the top of it and down the side, so you could actually accurately position things first before using the camera, and then when you're placing your design, you can use that to align things as well, which is really handy. So we're going to return back to this. We're going to right click and select show captured image, and now you will see a couple of windows here. If I zoom in, the blue is if you're using the cutter. That is the area you can actually go within the cutter. The blue is for the laser area, so anything within that blue area you can laser engrave, and then the white is the cutting size reference if we had the cutter installed. It's good practice to always run a material test on a new material, and this is a new laser for me, so even more so. So if we click on the calibrate button, there is a built-in material calibration area, and I really like that. So we can do cutting tests or we can do engraving tests, and you can actually do images, which is brilliant as well. At first I'm going going to do a laser field test. And you see on the right there, if we zoom in a bit, there are a number of fields and parameters. We can adjust the speed and the power, and we can set how many we want. In this case, I'm actually going to fill the whole laser bed here with this so I can get the optimum settings for this material, because I will be using it. I've got more of it, and I'm going to do minimum of 10%, maximum of 100. Speed wise, I'm probably going to go down to maybe 100 for that. And for the max, we're going to put 500 in, and there you go. I mean, I might even go a little bit lower with this. It will probably cut through and burn, but you won't know unless you test it. So now we've done that, we could adjust the border parameters, which is the border and the text. I'm going to keep all of that default for now. So we're going to click confirm, then we're going to zoom out and we're going to drag our testing box there. So what you can do is resize it. I am going to resize it because, like I said, I want to fill the whole area. So I'm going to keep it within that blue Bambu Lab laser box, which I showed you a minute ago. That's just sat within it there and just sat within it there. So now we've got that in place. What we're going to do is click prepare, and it says choose how to place objects when entering prepare, auto arrange or keep design layout. So I'm going to try auto arrange. You know, it knows where it can go. So there you go. It's put it in what it deems as the most optimum position, and I'm okay with that. I like that feature. So now that we're good to go, we have the option to make down below. So we're going to click that, and it's going to give us a safety video. I like that it does that. Laser safety is very important. I've already watched this. You're welcome to watch it yourself. I am going to skip it. Once it gets to the end, you can click got it, start to make, and we will do that. And now it's going to ask you to check two more things. Please check the requirements, 40-watt laser and laser platform. We have both of those. Click send. It's going to send it through just like it does with the 3D prints. And we are good to go. Let's do this. And I just want to show you this screen as well. It gives you a estimated processing time of 1 hour 20. Like I said, this is a big test we're doing here. And it gives you all the details. And it's now going to start going, and we can see how it goes. Once again, as safety is key, it's asking us just to check these things before we do it. And now that we're good to go, we have to press and hold this button for 1 second. And then just that familiar sound, you're gonna see that laser module is gonna start getting ready now to do its thing. Gonna move the bed up and we should see it. There we go, we're off. And one thing we can do, by default, it has a minimum setting and there is air flowing through it, but you can also adjust that knob to whatever you need to do. And you see there's a little arrow, and now it is fully extracting air out of there. And I cannot smell a thing, I will say that. I can't smell anything at the moment. Whilst we are doing this, I'm going to test out some of the safety functions, and one of them is opening this door should result in that laser stopping. So let's give that a go. As you can see, it immediately stops. It gives us a red error message, and there is a warning on the screen. So that is brilliant. So we'll close the door, and we need to literally tell it to continue. So we do that. And as you can see, it will continue. So that's a great safety feature there. I've also turned the lights off so you can see the green cover now. So you'll notice you can't see any of the laser in there because that is blocking out all of the wavelengths. So it physically is not doing any damage to your eyes. Same with the ones on the side. If I show you the opposite side and the top as well, there is nothing getting through there. So this is safe in an office. I mean, you'll see now I am in an office environment. Because of that, I can't smell anything. And because of those, I literally am wearing no glasses at the moment, and it's safe for me to be working on my laptop, which you can see there directly next to it. That is what is so good about this whole thing. It is enclosed, it is safe, it doesn't stink out your office, and this is what, in my opinion, it makes it a really useful, valuable tool to have. And once again, I just want to show the screen. I really am enjoying being able to watch that. That is excellent, and I haven't ever seen that on any other laser, so this is a first for me. As you can see, the smoke is being drawn out the back of the vent. These cuts in particular here are pretty strong, so they are generating a lot of smoke. I cannot smell anything at the moment. It's all being extracted out of that, and it, to be honest with you, is really doing a good job. Now that it has finished, it gives you a little warning on the screen that basically tells you not to open the door for 30 seconds because it's drawing all of the smoke outwards into the fume extractor or wherever else you draw it to. So now it's done. We can open this up and we can take a look at it. And as I expected, to be honest with you, I knew the bottom bits would be cut out because it is a very powerful 40-watt laser, and that is a very slow speed. But overall, what we can do with this information now is we can take it, we can can work out our optimum settings on that material, and then we can apply that to our next actual engraving. As I mentioned, our test is completed, and the bottom ones, because we're talking 50 millimeters a second speed and 70, 80, 90, 100% power, as I expected, it cut them out, and you can see even the ones around it. This is a 40-watt laser, it's gonna do that. But if we go up to the top area now, we can have a look to see what setting is the best. And based on what I'm looking at the moment, I would probably say 30% power, so it's that third one along, and 400 speed, that one there. That one hasn't cut into the material, but it's nice and dark, so that is what we're gonna go with. Now that we've finished, we get our complete symbol and we are good to go. So we can return back to this now, and what I'm gonna do is delete that off, and I am gonna set up a new one. So I'm gonna now ask it to, I'm gonna put the same piece back in, upside down, butt it up against the back again, and we're gonna engrave a image of some kind onto here using those settings. I'm gonna now take a new image capture. I'm gonna click don't show me again because I know that now. It's gonna take our item that we've just put in there, give us our photo again, and we're now gonna import an image into it to actually engrave on there. So there we go. So let's return in here, and I am gonna import something from here, and I'm gonna click on downloads, and this is a SVG file, and it's going to ask me now, what do I want to do? So I want a laser process in this case. And there you go. You can see my vector image that I've put in, and I'm just going to do it, it doesn't have to be anywhere specific. I'm just going to put it there, and I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on prepare, and it's going to see if I want to auto arrange. This time I'm going to select keep design layout, and I will set my parameters for this myself based on our test that we just did. So we went with 30% power and 400 speed. We're going to keep air assist on, and we're happy with that. So I'm going to click make, and what it will do, again, the same checks that it normally does. We're just going to click send, and we are going to hit this straight on. And as you can see, this is much quicker this time, 8 minutes, which is perfect. And there you go, we are off, and it's looking good from here. Let's get to the end and see how it looks. So here are the results, and it's looking good. But one thing I like to do with laser engraving is, after I've engraved wood in particular, I like to score a line around the outside to really make it pop. And this is also a good test to see how accurate it is. So I haven't moved anything out of the way. We're going to run a new command where it should just do an outline, and we will see how successfully accurate it can be. So we have just done a fill engrave. Now we're going to do a line outgrave, and that's basically going to give us some texture. So to do that, we're going to right click, select process type, and select laser line. And that, we're not going to move any directions, the material's in the same place. Now we're going to click on make again, and now we are going to go to our references, and if we click on view calibration matrix, this is something built in that is very similar to other kind of softwares for laser engravers, and you can basically specify how dark you want it. And I like a nice dark line here, so I'm going to go with that one. 100% power, 150 speed. Let's see how it does. So we're going to click that make button, we're going to send it through, and we're going to see if it is accurate. As you can see, the laser is going around the outline of the actual design it's just done, and so far it's looking accurate. What we should see at the end is a nice contrasting outline on our design. Now let's take a look and let's see if it was accurate and successful. So you can see, look how good that looks now. So this is a little tip from me to you. Always score your wood engravings, and in terms of accuracy, exactly on top of the engraving. So the accuracy is spot on, it's repeatable. That is a really, really good test that is passed right there. We are gonna move on to slate coasters now. So you can do slate coasters with a diode laser, which is what that is. You can also do it with IR lasers, but we're gonna give this a try and see how well it goes. So we've put our slate coaster in. We're now gonna take a look at the revised image and put something on there. So brilliant, it's where I need it. And that camera quality as well, I have to say I'm impressed. So this one is a slate coaster. So we're going to go into the material library, and we are going to take a look, and as you can see there, we have got black stone slate coaster. We're going to go with that. So we'll put our design on, and I'm going to use the default settings this time, and we'll see how it looks. For this one I have measured, and it's about 8.5 millimeters. So I'm going to select that because this will help the laser determine exactly where it needs to focus. Now what we're going to do is we are going to put our design on. So for this one, I wanted to use something in Bambu Suite, and it has a library with various different vector images. So I'm just gonna have a look and see what we can find, and then we'll just have a go with it. So let's do this ninja here. So I'll drag it over, gonna make it bigger, and I will zoom in so you can see. We're gonna right click on it, and we are gonna select process type to laser fill like this. So we're gonna put that, and then I'm gonna put some text as well. I'm gonna select the text box, select where I want it, which is just there, and I'm gonna just type in a name, and I'll put my son's name, which is Arthur. Then there are loads of different fonts built in there. I'll just go for like an Arial rounded one. And in terms of everything else, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to click away. We can left click and drag if we want, and I will do that in this case to try and mimic the contour of the coaster. And then we're going to just drag it up a little bit so that it fills that. So there you go. You've got text. What we also want to do is right click and select laser fill. And we've got this ready to go now in terms of our design. So what we'll do is we will select the object we want. So now we've got our design set up. We'll click the prepare button. We'll go onto this screen, and now we can look at our parameters for that. And once again, there is a calibration matrix. So if I zoom in, there is like a slight tinge of gold. So I'm going to go for that. 50% power, 100 speed. I would love it if we had a bit of gold there. It is by default saying no air assist, so we will keep that off, but we're good to go there, and I'm happy with that. So we'll click on we'll give preview a go here. Look, so it's going to tell us 8 minutes 52 seconds whereabouts it is on the bed, and I believe we could probably even see the order it's going to do it in there, which is good to see. We'll click the make button. Once I've changed this again to 8.5, we'll now click the make button, send it through, and we'll see how this one turns out. As you can see, it's doing a really good job, and so far from outside, the contrast looks brilliant on this one. Let's take a look at the finished result, and I tell you what, I'm very impressed with how contrasting that is. It looks, I mean, there is a slight tinge of yellow. I'm not sure you can pick it up on the camera, so it looks exactly like it said it would in their matrix, so that's good to see. The next thing I want to test is PU material. So this is a synthetic kind of leather replica material. Let's see how it handles it. So we're back in Bambu Suite. We're going to refresh the picture. It's going to take a picture of our synthetic PU keychain. We're going to set up the material first this time, and I did measure it. It was 3 millimeters thick, so I will do that there. And if we go through the material library again, I believe I saw, pebbled PU leatherette fabric. So it's great. It's even got one for this in there. So we're going to go with that. It says, please mirror the image and place the cutting side of the material facing the blade. So we're not interested in that at the moment. What we're going to do then is we're going to move back into our design space where we should see it, and we'll put something on there. So we're going to import our SVG file, which is called Lying Roaring. We're going to go with laser processing again, and I am going to scale it down to the right size here and position it over the top. And I have to say, so far I'm very impressed with the camera. It seems to be absolutely spot on. I'm going to try and fill this one out to a good amount there. So there you go. We'll put that on there. That's all we're going to do in this case. We have our material. So let's go back to prepare, and it's talking about auto arranging now. We're going to keep the layout design once again. And in terms of parameters, we are going to go with, so here's the calibration. We're going to go with the middle of the road here, the recommended one that it selects. So 20% power, 300 speed. We'll hit that make button, and we will see how it looks. And there we go, it's going. This is going to be a nice quick one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes out. So let's take a look, and it has done another fine job on that. I mean, there is a nice contrast. It looks as it would, and the positioning once again is pretty much exactly where we put it. So we're also going to do a test on stainless steel. We'll see if it can mark it. Diode lasers are not ideal for stainless steel, but they can do it. So let's give it a go. We've got our stainless steel in the actual enclosure. So I'm going to go with stainless steel dog tag as our default setting here. And it is 1 millimeter thick, our plate. I like the fact that it always gives you this little warning here saying materials been moved, please capture a new image. It can detect when you take your material away, which is great because it prompts you then to update your picture as it's doing right now. And we'll see our stainless steel sheet in there. So we are just going to do a vector image on this one. So I'm going to go into the library again, and I'm just going to get something really simple like a star. A star will be good in this case because ultimately I just want to see that it will mark it, and stainless steel marking is always a bit bit of a slow process. So that's what we're going for. Nice and simple. We're going to prepare the material. We're going to keep the design layout. Let's take a look at the parameters. So once again, it's giving us a reference material here. So it's saying 80% power, 300 speed. I'm actually going to put 100% power, and I'm going to go for 50 millimeters a second. That should give us a nice dark engraving. So I'll click on make and let's do it. Let's see how it comes out. So it's probably going to be hard to see, but we have our laser penetrating the metal as we speak. So it'll be interesting to see how this one comes out. So let's take a look at this and see how it looks. It's actually got a nice golden tinge to it. It's hard to show you in here. There you go. You can see it now. It's done a really good job on that. And as you can see, very clear, very nice. You could play around with that and get some great settings off of that laser. Now, the final engraving test I want to do before I do some cutting tests is a photo onto a piece of bamboo. So it's always a difficult thing to do, but we're going to do it and we're going to see how it comes out. You'll see I've moved the slats closer together for this one because I wanted a good support platform for this. There we have our new item updated. We're going to change our material to bamboo board. I think that's probably the closest we can get to what we're working with. And the thickness is about 3 millimeters. I will double check it before. So we're going to return back to this. And this time we're importing an actual photo. And this is a German Shepherd photo that I have found online. And I thought it would be a good one to test because it's got a good contrast range of colors. There's a various elements of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to come. So you can do image adjustments here. You can crop it as well, which I am going to do, because ultimately I'm going to chop his hand out so I can get a bigger image on our coaster. That'll do. So we are actually on our image adjustment mode here, and I want to run through it because actually it's quite intuitive and I do like it. So there are built-in defaults you can use here. I'm sticking to origin. But if you scroll down, you can select bitmap mode, which turns it into black and white, which I always like. And you can get it to display it. So what it's showing us now is how it deems it's going to look if you use the specific modes. These are all differing modes, but there is one that is a generic one that most people use, and that is Jarvis. And you'll see if you use that, you can see the individual dots. So if we then adjust the sharpness and stuff, you can see it will actually adjust with it. So I'm going to manually adjust this and try and get it so it's quite contrasting and looking good. We obviously want to keep the detail, and this is me purely freestyling this, by the way. I love the fact you can do this. This is a really good feature in my opinion. I'm happy with that. That is what image I'm going to go with. So it's not going to be perfect because in reality I would do a material test. I would do another calibration test with this image. I'm not going to do that in this case though. So now that I've selected that, I'm going to use 50% max power. I'm probably going to put the minimum power up to 30% and the speed 450. We did a test earlier on a vector image and it was kind of around those things. So we're just going to stick with that. I'm not going to change anything else. So we'll see how it comes out. So let's take a look at the result. So as you can see, it's come out pretty good. I mean, what I will say is a 40-watt laser has a thicker dot size, which means doing any kind of photo is always more challenging to get the detail. Considering I literally freestyled those settings and guessed them, that is actually very good, and I'm impressed with that. Now we're going to move on to a cutting test, and I'm just going to cut a basic out. This is thin material. Unfortunately, I don't have anything thicker to test, so we'll see how it does. So what I want to do for the cutting, I've come on to Maker World, and I've come up exclusively into the laser and cut models, and I found this birdhouse here. No glue required. That sounds good to me. So I want to give this a print on our material. So we're going to make it in Bambu Suite. We're going to click that. We're going to allow it to open Bambu Suite. So here we go. It's going to put it in there. It's got our workspace. Printer does not match. So yes, we're going to switch it to our printer. And there you go. It's put in the plates that we need. And that should be okay. I mean, I might make it all a little bit bigger, to be honest with you. There you go. We want it a bit bigger. We've got our material set. The thickness is good. Calibration mix is set to that one. So I think we're all good here. I think we can actually make this and see how it turns out. You can see the smoke is all coming out of the slats and it's being sucked away into the extraction, which I think is absolutely doing a great job there. is keeping the smoke in as little as possible so that it doesn't affect the other stuff in there. Take a look inside. So as you can see, it's easily cut through everything in one go here. Let's take these pieces out. The edges are looking lovely. They're barely even charred, which is perfect for a cut. Let's see if we can put these bits together. And there we have our fully assembled birdhouse from Maker World. Fits absolutely lovely. All of the cuts were super clean and super sharp. No charring, no burning. The laser engraver has been disassembled and we are back to 3D print mode. And I just wanted to give you a look around really, so that you can get a good idea of how dirty or clean this thing is after some fairly heavy usage. I mean, I haven't been absolutely hammering it, but we have been cutting wood, we have been doing leather, we have been doing lots of different types of engravings. And as you can see, I mean, surface value is pretty clean. I mean, let's have a touch of this. Nothing on my finger there. Here, I mean, there's little tiny bits of dust, but that's probably built up from using the 3D printer, if I'm honest with you. There isn't any visible, like, horrible gunkiness. And what I will do now is, with some IPA spray and the relevant lubricants, I will now go back through this, give it a quick clean, give it a maintain, and then I'll be 3D printing as good as new. So after spending some time setting up the H2D Laser Edition, testing different materials, exploring Bambu Suite, and putting it through a range of real-world projects, where do I stand? Honestly, I'm impressed. The setup process was far easier than I expected. Installing the laser module, air assist, and extraction system only took a few minutes, and the overall experience felt very much like a Bambu product. Everything is clearly thought out, well integrated, and easy to follow. The software was another pleasant surprise. I really liked the material library, the built-in test grids, the image adjustment tools, and the way the camera integrates directly into the workflow. Features like automatically prompting you to refresh the camera view after moving materials sound small, but they're exactly the sort of quality of life improvements that help prevent mistakes. The engraving results themselves were consistently good across the materials I tested. The Slate coaster came out particularly well, the leather engraved nicely, the stainless steel produced a surprisingly good result, and the photo engraving on the Bambu coaster was respectable, considering this is a 40-watt module which is designed more for power and cutting performance than ultra-fine photo detail. The camera system also deserves credit. Not only was it useful for positioning designs, but it was accurate enough that when I engraved and then scored around a design afterwards, it lined up exactly where it should. That's the sort of thing that gives you confidence when you're working on real projects. One of my biggest concerns going into this video was contamination. I genuinely expected to open the machine afterwards and find smoke, residue, and debris everywhere. But after converting it back into a 3D printer and inspecting the inside, I was honestly surprised by how clean everything still was. Obviously, regular maintenance is still important, but the extraction system and the overall design clearly do a good job of managing that. Now, it isn't perfect. I'd like to see a few more support slats included within the cutting bed, and because the laser module does sit in front of the tool head, you do lose some usable working area compared to the full build volume of the machine. And while the 40-watt module is excellent for cutting and general engraving, I personally prefer the finer spot size of a lowered power module like the 20-watt module they also offer. But those are relatively minor criticisms. So was I right to be skeptical? Honestly, no, I wasn't. The concerns I had were valid, but Bambu Lab have clearly spent a lot of time thinking about how to integrate a laser into the H2D properly. The result doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like a well-designed system that has been built to fit naturally into the existing Bambu ecosystem. Would I replace my dedicated laser engravers? No, I wouldn't. For my workflow, I still prefer dedicated machines for dedicated tasks. But if you're limited on space, already invested in the Bambu ecosystem, or simply want a machine that can 3D print, laser engrave, and cut materials without filling your workshop with multiple separate devices, then I think the H2D Laser Edition is genuinely compelling option. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got plenty more laser engraving, 3D printing, and maker content on the way. And if you've got any questions about the H2D Laser Edition, drop them down below in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. If you're interested in picking up an H2D or any other Bambu Lab product, you'll find affiliate links down in the description. Using those links helps support the channel at no extra cost to you. So thank you to everyone who chooses to use them. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, you can also become an L3D supporter right here on YouTube. Your support helps me continue creating tutorials, reviews, and maker content like this. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.